Something a little bit different for you today, and hopefully the start of a brand new series. Cue loads of tweets and comments. Kev, I didn't realise you watch wrestling. Kev, do you watch wrestling? I do watch wrestling, on and off. And I've very recently become rather interested in a little game called Total Extreme Wrestling 2016. I've downloaded current WWE roster information, and we're going to pick up right where the Royal Rumble left off, 10 days ago, a couple of weeks ago as this comes out, probably 2 weeks ago as this comes out, and take it all the way through to WrestleMania, and Kev's in charge. Hello and welcome to part 1 of the Road to WrestleMania. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's video, we're going to have a little bit of an explore of Total Extreme Wrestling 2016. I only bought the game myself a week ago. I only downloaded the free trial like 2 weeks ago. I'm very much a noob. If you're more experienced than I am with this game, then please take advantage of the comments and let me know all the stuff that I'm doing wrong. It's one of those rare occasions where I'm inviting you to criticise me down in the comments. Also, if you're here because you're into wrestling and you've usually watched Football Manager stuff, but you thought you'd try out something else, or if you're just interested in me bringing some slightly different games, slightly different content to the channel, why not kick things off as we mean to go on by hitting that like button just to give this video that nice little boost that it might well need, because, it's Kev, but it's not Football Manager. Yeah, but it's basically Football Manager, but with wrestling. If you've never heard of Total Extreme Wrestling, that's exactly what it is. We can see the interface on here. It is a little bit crude. There's not much more graphically to it than this. We don't even have a 2D match engine like we had with old style Football Manager, but we don't need one. That's in the same way as Football Manager. That's not what it's about. It's about the managerial side of it, and it's very, very cool. When you do get the vanilla version of this game, it doesn't have any of the licensed stuff on there. I've had to download a mod to bring all the WWE and all the other stuff in now. I mean, it's got all of the companies. Every company you could possibly imagine is in there. I've not got them all turned on. I've just got North America turned on in the interests of keeping the game running fairly quickly. But it's fully up to date as of the Royal Rumble. So if we have a look at who our current champions are, just to prove it's currently up to date, we've got Neville as Cruiserweight Champion, Dean Ambrose as Intercontinental Champion. We've got the club as, they're not the club anymore, are they? Gallows and Anderson as Raw Tag Team Champions. Charlotte is the Raw Women's Champion. American Alpha on SmackDown as Tag Champions with Alexa Bliss with the Women's title. Chris Jericho has the United States title. Kevin Owens the Universal title, and John Cena the World Champion. Well, it says 13 times, so I guess it's just counting the amount of times he's won that one, because wasn't there a big fuss about him winning it more times than 13 before? I guess he's won the other one once or twice as well, the one they retired. So the way that this game works is you pick an in-game avatar that you want to be. I was very excited to see that Stephen ML, the guy who plays Arrow, I like Arrow, is on the database, but decided in the interest of realism, what we'd actually do is we'd be Triple H, because in reality, I guess he's one of the front runners to take over when old Vince decides to move on. So you have the option of making yourself head booker or owner. I experimented with both, didn't like being head booker, because can you believe Vince McMahon sticks his oar in and still tries to get involved? So he's given the whole company to Triple H. I am the boss. Nothing, I mean, I've done nothing yet, so I've got a low reputation, which I guess I could have set that a little bit higher to begin with, and he has got a high reputation. I probably should have thought that through, but I didn't, and none of this stuff has happened yet. I'm going to try and be the Triple H NXT style leader, so I'd like to think we're going to be going down the loyalty and velvet glove route rather than fear and iron fist, which is potentially how it would have been under old Vince. So the way the game works, if you are a newbie, and I apologise if you're more experienced with this than I am, having someone who doesn't know what they're talking about explain it to you, but basically you get full control of the entire roster, wrestlers, referees, the backstage stuff, everything you can possibly imagine. If you look down who we've got on this roster, there's some crazy names that I don't know who Carly Caruso is. I guess she's one of those ladies who turns up talking to wrestlers sometimes. I've never noticed her name. Dan Engler's apparently a referee. And there's a whole load of cruiserweights that I never bothered to learn the name of, who I now have to try and sort out wrestling matches for. Mr. McMahon's still knocking around, look. I tell you what, as first piece of action, can we just sack him? Can we sack Vince? We'll release Oh, it's because we're about to do Raw. We can't sack him as Raw's about to go on air. Although, wouldn't that make for good TV? I can't believe it's not letting me do that. So we've got a full-on roster of talent. We've got storylines that I'm not going to show you because, I don't want to show you how things are going to turn out. Some people have rumoured that wrestling might be fake. I want to keep kayfabe in effect on this series. Obviously, it's not fake. There's nothing predetermined here, folks. We're not going to look on that storylines tab. Yeah, we're going to lump straight into Raw, I think. Now, to put some perspective on this for you, it takes about an hour, or it takes me about an hour, to plan an episode of a TV show. So each one of these episodes of this series, we'll just do one TV show, Raw or SmackDown. We won't bother with main event. I'll do that offline because I don't care about that. It'll be auto-booked and it'll be a load of nobodies doing nothing. And then every now and again we build up to have one of the big pay-per-views. The mod that I've downloaded doesn't have the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view on that's happening this weekend, but I think I can add it in, and it's not a disaster because I've only booked Raw so far. So before I do the SmackDown one, that'll be the next video, I can get Elimination Chamber booked in and start booking some matches for that. So without further ado, it's Monday night. That means it's the world's longest running episode. What is it he says every week? Raw's on. Here you go then. I promised you there was no fancy graphics, and there really isn't. This is how you watch the show. And it's the whole purpose of it is we're trying to get this rating for each segment as high as possible. The higher we get that rating, so the higher each angle or each match is rated, the better the overall show rating is. The better the overall show rating is, the more people watch, the more people buy pay-per-views, the more expensive you can sell your TV deals for. And if you're bringing in more money, then the better wrestlers can be brought in. And it's all basically a money-making and popularity-making exercise, just like it is in real life. Tied into the individual angle and match ratings, there's also an ongoing storyline rating. And in order for the company to be considered popular, you have to have a number of decent storylines on the run at the same time that go on from week to week. Now, I've completely scrapped off all the storylines because of this. We kick off Raw. Triple H is there in the ring ready when the show starts, and he's basically just saying, all right, folks, Vince is gone. I tried to sack him, but it wouldn't let me do it because he was already in the building, but rest assured he's gone tomorrow. Stephanie's not happy, so she's off sulking somewhere because I sacked her dad. But this is my show now. Everything that happened up until this point, we're drawing a line under it. Everything starts afresh tonight because this is the Triple H era of Monday Night Raw and WWE in general. And we're going to build anew from here. The crowd are pretty happy. They've given that a B+. They're not as happy as they could be. I guess what I could have done is regrown my long hair and looked like traditional Triple H and done the promo shirtless. But, I'm still doing the whole suit and tie thing because inexplicably that's what wrestlers do when they want to be taken seriously. They just look stupid in a suit. It doesn't fit. If you want to wear a suit, get fat. Only fat people wear suits. If we have a look at what our road agents think about that, it could have done with better announcing, and that is something we're going to address very, very soon. I meant to do it. In all the practice runs of this, I've sacked most of the announce team and brought my own one in beforehand. I forgot for this real thing. But there'll be a new announce team in place before the first pay-per-view. But the crowd are pretty happy. Obviously, no improvements. It's Triple H on his Todd, doing what he does best. He's not going to improve because he's already brilliant at it. And we roll straight into the next segment, which is your man Roman Reigns popping out, saying hello. Hello, Mr. Triple H, I'm Roman Reigns. I would like a shot at that Universal title that I had a shot at last night at Royal Rumble and got cheated out of by that big beardy man. And unbelievably, because we're in a fantasy world, the crowd are lapping that up. We get an A grade for that one. Roman Reigns enjoyed being off script, which he probably would. He's been so tightly scripted for the last 4 years that he probably would enjoy being able to say what he wants. We're just going to give Roman Reigns freedom to be Roman Reigns rather than having to read from the script that you can always see off camera. But yeah, the crowd love it. Even the announcing was good. Goodness me, we even had good announcing on this section. No improvements, but we don't need no improvements. The important thing is Triple H's response to Roman Reigns' request for a title shot is, I'll get back to you because I've got a plan and I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet. So we move on to our next segment, which is, I don't want to say new era because that's what they're faffing about and talking about on the TV, but what on earth is Chris Jericho doing holding the United States title? What is the point in having the United States title and the WWE title both held by two people in the same storyline. Basically a tag team. I know all good stables hold all the titles at some point, but it's two guys, and they're the two top heels on Raw. They're your main event guys. So Triple H, his storyline reason is we're gonna book you against Sami Zayn the way we did in real life, but in fact it's going to be for the title straight off. We're not going to mess around. And Sami Zayn defeats Chris Jericho, wins the US title. We have a new champion. Chris Jericho goes off in a huff. He's adding people to the list left, right and centre. Sami Zayn celebrating in the ring. When down comes newcomer Samoa Joe along with Rusev, and the two of them proceed to beat the living hell out of Sami Zayn to within an inch of his life. The man's bleeding, and also, yeah, we're bringing blood back. Why not? Let's have some blood back. The crowd are giving that a B-. It's not as hot as it could be, despite the return from injury of Finn Balor. I don't know how to say that man's name, but he's back. He rushes down to the ring. He saves Sami Zayn. He chases off Rusev and Samoa Joe. And all of a sudden, we've moved Chris Jericho out of the US title nonsense. He's going to go and faff around in the main event where he's supposed to be. And we've got 4 of the best wrestlers on Monday Night Raw competing for the title, which, under the new Triple H era, it's going to be the wrestling title. It's the one where you have the best wrestlers winning it. So there you go. We've got 4 of our best wrestlers. Sami Zayn is holding the title, but we've got Rusev and Samoa Joe who both want it, and Finn Balor is there as well to get himself. I mean, look, he's got a title on in the photograph. He hasn't won anything yet though. It's all Sami's at the moment. Interestingly, Finn Balor's not suited to his gimmick. I did nose around in the stats for that. I wanted to turn him, my initial plan, turn him heel, stick him with the club and do that. But apparently, because he turned face not so long ago, it told me in the little notes that it's too soon to turn him back again. He'll basically end up like a skinny version of the Big Show if I do that. So I haven't. He's going to stay face for the foreseeable future. But we might have to work on a new gimmick for him because apparently the fans don't like that one. So we move on. Oh, hold on. Is this my new gimmick? For I can't remember. No, we don't want to move on. Here you go. So we are changing his gimmick from, at the moment, he's got a unique, charismatic gimmick. Still a face. We're not going to turn him heel. What we are going to do is turn him from unique, charismatic to a show stealer. Basically, we just want him every time he comes out there to have the best match on the card. So yeah, we'll change that gimmick. You're going to be a show stealer, and there you go. Straight away from a gimmick that was weak, we have a gimmick that has an initial rating of very good. The fans are happy that Finn is back. They're also happy that Samoa Joe has been called up from NXT in a different way to how it happened on Raw in real life. Let's not move him straight into the main event picture. We've already got Braun Strowman being elbowed into that. Let's build Samoa Joe a little bit more organically, and we're also going to change the gimmick that Lana is using as well. Apparently, her current gimmick is bitch, but we're going to change it to a demanding diva. People don't like that gimmick, and I don't want to say that word on my channel, so we're going to change her into a demanding diva, an old style diva. We're not bringing the divas back, but I think she'd make a good diva, and we're going to make her stop doing the stupid Russian accent as well. So yes, we're going to change her gimmick as well. Above average is better than it was before, and it is only Lana. So let's move on to our next segment. Next segment, we have a big struggle in Total Extreme Wrestling is all of the women wrestlers are rated really low. So no matter what you do with them, you get a bad rating. So there's going to have to be a lot of trying to build up these characters to make them appear any good. So apparently, Nia Jax versus Bayley versus Sasha Banks. It's a #1 contenders match for Charlotte's title. It was a terrible match, apparently. But Sasha Banks defeats Nia Jax by submission with a bank statement. We've got, I mean, look at these in-ring performances. Nia Jax an E+, Bayley D-. I could probably get on board with both of those, but Sasha Banks getting a D+, nonsense. But we need to build her up a little bit, I guess. But luckily, that's exactly what's happened in that match. She's improved her Rumble skills and her performance skills, and she is now the #1 contender for Sasha Banks' women's title. So we can go straight into our Fastlane booking screen, and we're going to book a match between Charlotte and Sasha Banks for Fastlane. I know we've seen this match before, but not Charles Robinson. We don't want him against Sasha Banks, although that might be interesting. I know we've seen this match over and over again, but two things need addressing. One, they're the two best women's wrestlers on Raw. Let's put them in a match again. Why not? And two, Sasha Banks should have won that feud. Because for me, it makes more sense to then have Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax as a title thing. Don't get me wrong, Charlotte's brilliant. I don't rate Bayley, so I don't think Charlotte versus Bayley should be our world title picture going into WrestleMania. And realistically, it should be these two going into WrestleMania as well. So we'll get Nia Jax involved somehow, but don't be surprised if these two are both involved in the same match at WrestleMania a little bit further down the line. But we booked them in for a title shot at Fastlane. I rate Sasha Banks as maybe winning the title there, but no spoilers, obviously. So let's move on to the next segment. The next segment is Charlotte coming out and accepting the challenge as number one contender from Sasha Banks and basically confirming the booking. They're going to meet in a couple of weeks or a month or whenever it is at Fastlane. Charlotte Flair against Sasha Banks. Unbelievably, we only get a D+ for that because the women are broken and we're going to fix them. I've just done the pre-booking. Yes, I want to continue without creating one because I did it early. Right, Braun Strowman. Let's sort this one out. We're going to move him back down the card a little bit. Yes, he's pretty hot off the back of the Royal Rumble, but we don't want to insert him straight into the Universal title picture because the champion is a heel in Kevin Owens. The best other wrestler on Raw is also a heel, Chris Jericho. We don't need a third heel being brought into that picture. So for now, Braun Strowman's going to go back to beating up undercard folk, starting tonight with Curtis Axel. He's another one where, because he's had such a very fast push in real life, his rating in this still leaves a little to be desired, which is the other reason for pulling him out of the main event for now. And we're just going to build him up, stick him on a long and beaten run, just beating people up and gradually move him up the card that way, so that maybe by SummerSlam, if we get that far, he's an actual viable main event heel. And we might have had some turns or shifting around of brands by then to make some room for him at the top of the card as well, which is very heel heavy at the moment. And there's Braun Strowman himself issuing his open challenge to just anyone, anytime. Come out here, I'm going to beat you up. And you know what? He probably will. The crowd are only giving it a C-, but I can live with that. As long as we get at least a C, I'm happy. We haven't got any pre-bookings to make. And we want to continue without creating a pre-booking. Roman Reigns has marched down to the ring. He's going on again about how he should be getting a Universal title shot. Triple H is still mulling it over. And out comes his old buddy Seth Rollins, who says, hang on a minute, Roman. I know I invaded NXT 2 days ago, and I know I wasn't in the Royal Rumble last night, but I've fixed my broken head and realised that actually my vendetta is not as important as the fact that I'd quite like to win the world title as well. Plus, that fella who I wanted to beat up is now my boss and could fire me, so that changes things a little bit too. I want that Universal title shot. The crowd are whipped up massively. They want to see Roman Reigns against Seth Rollins, and it gets booked later on in the show. Winner of that match does get a shot against Kevin Owens for the Universal title. Then we get the big old Enzo and Cass. They take an hour to get to the ring entrance. They're supposed to be whipping the crowd up. Apparently that's not happening. I don't see how an Enzo and Cass entrance could ever get a C- rating. It's a guaranteed A every time. But we'll work on it. We'll get them built up. At least one of the workers in this segment is either, we're changing a gimmick. We're changing Enzo's gimmick because he's a Guido at the moment. I don't know what that means, but apparently people don't like it. So we're just going to make him a ladies' man. Let's build on the stuff that had been going on Raw anyway. He's a bit of a ladies' man anyway. Enzo, you're a ladies' man, and it has an initial rating of great. There we go. And now we have a New Day entrance. Let's try and pop the crowd. It was still not working. Again, you don't get a New Day entrance that only gets a C+. But out come Big E and Kofi Kingston. So we've now got Enzo and Big Cass. We've got Big E and Kofi Kingston out in the ring. And out to join them come Sheamus and Cesaro. So 3 face tag teams battling it out with each other to become number one contender for the tag team titles currently held by Gallows and Anderson. The winners of the match are the New Day because they're the best tag team. Enzo and Cass are still learning. Sheamus and Cesaro, this is their tag team swan song. We want to get them back where they belong, up in the main event picture. We are a little bit light on faces up there because apparently Sheamus has been turned, albeit very slowly, in recent weeks. So we've got Cesaro and Sheamus both up there as potential challengers for Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, potential opponents for Braun Strowman later down the line as well. So they're coming out of the tag team picture. The fans are loving it. We get a B-, and we're all very happy. We have number one contenders, and we're going to book a match for Fastlane again. And we now have a tag team title match. It's going to be, let's just find our tag teams. It's going to be, where are they? Where's Gallows and Anderson? Because they're on there as the club. There you go. So we have club against the New Day. Book it in. That's happening at Fastlane. And there we go. Next segment. It's Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows coming out and saying, hey, we're going to beat you up, New Day. We're the champions. We're great. Look at us. We only won the titles the night before. Sheamus and Cesaro, you've already blown your chance to win them back. We're going to take on you, New Day folk, and we're going to beat you. The crowd only give it a C- because Anderson and Gallows have been buried for the last year, but they're now going to start building themselves back up. This is the most difficult segment of the show for me, the Cruiserweights. As I've already mentioned, I've done a couple of practice runs of this, and in several of them, I've just binned the Cruiserweights off completely, sent most of them down to NXT, retired the title, and just given up on the division because they're all so poorly rated. None of them are over, and it's just really, really difficult to do anything with it. But I've decided to persevere, not least because we've got 3 hours to fill on Raw, and the problem when you get rid of them all is you have to sign a whole load of wrestlers, and that's quite difficult to do. So they can basically be our undercard. We might be able to develop a few stars out of it. There's some talented people in there who we can hopefully build up with a well-booked cruiserweight division. And it's going to involve these 6 guys. So we've got Neville as the champion. We've also got Rich Swann, Tajiri, TJ Perkins, Cedric Alexander and Brian Kendrick all involved in the segment. They're all just having a little bit of a chat with each other. It gets a C-, which is good for the Cruiserweights, I assure you. And then we go in straight into Neville sitting down at the side of the ring and having a little watch of a big match between the other 5 to establish who the number one contender for the Cruiserweight title is going to be. Somehow, with those 5 wrestlers, it's a terrible wrestling match. I can understand non-existent crowd heat. Don't understand how it's a terrible match. But look at those individual ratings we're getting. They're rubbish. They're good wrestlers. They're rubbish ratings. Probably blame me. We've got a lot of improvements to them. Somehow Brian Kendrick's still improving. It's really difficult to book the Cruiserweight division. This is where I need your help because I didn't watch the Cruiserweight Classic and I fast forward the Cruiserweight bits when they're on Raw because it doesn't interest me. But we've got a D+ for that match. Rich Swann is the new number one contender and Neville beats the hell out of him because that's what Neville does now. That only gets us a D+ as well, but at least it's put a little bit of heat onto Neville, and as you can see, it's advanced our Cruiserweights storyline. We're not going to book that in for Fastlane just yet. We'll see how this develops. The women's division on Raw, once you get past the big 4, is really paper thin. So we've got to have Charlotte involved in a match, but the 3 people she could potentially wrestle have already had one. So she's had to squash Alicia Fox. I'm sorry. But Charlotte gets a C-. Obviously, Alicia Fox only gets an E. We get a D rating overall. It's not a disaster. Alicia Fox is improving. Charlotte's improving as well. And Charlotte just picks up a nice, easy win with a figure 8 leg lock. And we move on and pretend it didn't happen. And here we have the big response, the big tag team match because of the attacks that happened earlier in the night. So our new US champion, Sami Zayn, is wrestling again. He's tagging up with Finn Balor against new boy Samoa Joe and Rusev. And it's a good match, lots of back and forth. Sami Zayn's not involved massively because obviously he's wrestled earlier in the night. So Finn's doing a lot of it all by himself. Apparently the flow of the match was hurt by Sami Zayn not being massively involved. He'd be involved a bit, but just not massively. It meant he only got a D+, which is the lowest rating you'll ever see Sami Zayn get. But we got good Bs from both Finn Balor and Samoa Joe. Rusev a solid C. Finn Balor picks up the win after defeating Samoa Joe. So Joe on his first night on Raw gets pinned by Finn Balor. And we have a new US champion and a very strong-looking Finn Balor coming out of this, having already chased off Samoa Joe and Rusev once when he was defending Sami, and now almost single-handedly defeating the 2 of them. They're not going to look that weak very often, I assure you, but I really want Finn Balor to look very hot. We're trying to build up storylines quite quickly because WrestleMania is on the horizon, and I want Finn Balor to be a big deal fairly quickly. Only got a C+, largely because of Zayn not being involved too much. These four are going to have some cracking matches over the next few months, though. And then we move into to Triple H, just announcing confirming his decision from earlier in the night that Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins are going to wrestle now. The winner's going to get a title shot at Fastlane. They're all very happy. Wrestle, B rating, all good. Stick those three in the ring and not a lot goes wrong as far as ratings are concerned. So we have the match, Roman Reigns against Seth Rollins. No, because the match is happening now, so yes, we'll continue without doing it. So we have Roman Reigns against Seth Rollins. It's a good match. It's got a B rating, 15 minutes back and forth before ending in a double disqualification, because it's only those rascals, Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, rushing down to the ring and attacking them both. Jericho's been missing since losing the US title earlier in the night and going off in a sulk, and it's because he's properly inserted into the Universal title picture now. So we have Owens, Jericho rushing out, beating up Reigns and Rollins, putting those two in their place after they've both had an excellent match. So we have four guys all coming out of this looking very, very strong, and we still don't have a number one contender for Kevin Owens going into Fastlane. And after the match, we basically have Owens and Jericho continuing to beat down those two, which also gets a B rating and advances that Universal title story. So that's the end of Raw for the week. We picked up a B- rating overall, which I'm pretty happy with that for a first show. To get anything above a D after my first couple of tries, I'm pretty happy with. Rich Swann was used too much. I guess he probably was. He's one of the lowest ranking wrestlers on our roster, and he was involved in 3 back-to-back segments. It's not going to happen often. We don't have enough interesting storylines going on. That's because we binned them all off. We're fixing that now. But we did increase our popularity in 16 regions, lost popularity in 18 regions. None of that is a disaster. And we now roll into main event and SmackDown coming up tomorrow night as we start to put together the card for Elimination Chamber. And that's your lot. Please, feedback desperately needed for this. I've never done anything like this before, and like I've said a couple of times, I'm very much a newbie to this game. So feedback, both positive and negative, down in the comments would be massively, massively appreciated. If you have enjoyed that, or even you've noticed a spark of potential in it as a series and it's something you'd like to continue watching, please pop a like on there for me. It makes a massive difference to a new series, especially a new series on a completely different game. Just getting it out there and getting people to notice it. If you are new to the channel because you're here to watch the wrestling content, please pop a subscribe on there. We're going to be doing more of this, assuming more than 10 people watched it. And why not check out some of the Football Manager stuff while you're here as well. If you don't know what Football Manager is, it's basically Total Extreme Wrestling, but with football. It's all good. Thank you very much for watching.